A forgotten book series from Poland sparked a billion-dollar empire. Video games, comic books, Netflix shows, and global fame. But the story of how this happened is a paradox. A masterclass in risk, brilliant execution, and one of the worst financial decisions a creator has ever made. Because the man who actually created Geralt of Rivia, the author Andrzej Sapkowski, was offered a chance to get rich with his creation. And he said no. This is a wild story of the Witcher's rise and the creator's regret. To understand this, we have to go back to Poland in the 1980s. Andrzej Sapkowski was an economist and a translator. He was a deeply knowledgeable man and a big fan of Tolkien, but unlike many Tolkien-inspired writers of that time, he did his own thing. He created Geralt of Rivia, the Witcher. Geralt was a monster hunter, but he wasn't a typical hero. He was a working-class professional trying to make rent in a world that hated him. He was cynical and morally grey. This was exactly the kind of story that resonated with Polish readers. Geralt's gritty, morally complex world struck a chord in post-communist Poland, where audiences were drawn to tales of survival and resilience in a chaotic society infused with Slavic mythology.
Just as soon as I catch you.
In the 90s, the books were a huge hit across Poland. Fans saw Sapkowski as a literary giant and even went so far as calling him the Polish Tolkien. But outside of that region, nobody knew who Geralt was. The books weren't being translated. The Witcher was a regional hit, but globally, it was a forgotten series. But all that was about to change. Around the year 2000, a small, ambitious Polish company called CD Projekt approached Sapkowski. They weren't the big game development studio we know today. They started out as video game retailers, distributors of foreign video games for domestic market by translating to Polish. But they were very passionate about games that this wasn't enough for them. They wanted to make their own game. And the newly established department responsible for developing original games was called CD Projekt Red. One of the founders in an interview said they voraciously consumed the Witcher books in their high school and college years. They had a bold vision of turning The Witcher into a video game. The budget for The Witcher 1 game was 20 million Polish zloty, around $7.5 million, which was, at that time, one of Poland's most ambitious games. It just goes to show how much they believed in the project. In contrast, Sapkowski repeatedly established how he had absolutely no faith in the medium. He saw video games as stupid and even implied gamers are unintelligent. To be clear, my goal isn't to paint Sapkowski as a villain. His choice reflected the uncertainties of a new medium at the time, and his creative genius laid the foundation for The Witcher's success. My guess as to why Sapkowski would have such opinions is that it may be a generational thing, as people from that age are generally dismissive of video games. As such, when CD Projekt Red offered Sapkowski percentages of future sales, he said, "No, there will be no profit at all. Give me all my money right now, the whole amount." So he took the big bag of money, which the co-founder of CD Projekt says is not that much, though exact numbers weren't confirmed. It's estimated around $9,500. I can only imagine how necessary that money must have felt at the time. A sure thing right at the start. He took the cash, signed away the rights, and went back to writing. The first game, The Witcher, came out in 2007. It was a bit clunky, but it was good enough to show the world what Geralt could be. It was the first time the West had ever made the character. But then came The Witcher 2 in 2011, and things got serious. The game was a huge hit. It was politically complex, the characters were compelling, and the story felt like a lived-in fantasy world. And then in 2015, they released The Witcher 3. This game was a game changer. With over 60 million copies sold by May of 2025, it won countless awards. It set new standard for open-world RPGs with its rich storytelling and breathtaking world. The Witcher series as a whole has pushed over 75 million units, generating hundreds of millions in revenue. The success of the game didn't just make CD Projekt rich, it made Sapkowski's original books a global hit. Suddenly, the English translations were flying off the shelves. People weren't reading the books and playing the games, they were playing the games and discovering the books. The author who thought games would cheapen his work had his career made into a global phenomenon by the games. But many people had the misunderstanding that the books were written for the games like many others, which made Sapkowski frustrated and angry, as he says, that has tarnished the image of his books, his stories. And when people point out that the games pushed the sales of books, Sapkowski responded by saying, yes, to the same extent I helped the games. I promoted the games with my name and characters. A few years later, Sapkowski realized the size of his mistake, and so in 2018, he sued. He demanded a new payment of around $16 million. His argument was based on Polish copyright law, which allows creators to seek additional compensation if a work's success exceeds expectations. His other argument was that the original deal was only for the first game, not for expansions, add-ons, or spin-offs. CD Projekt defended themselves, but still wanted to reach an amicable resolution, so they settled. They paid him another substantial but undisclosed amount of money. It was a quiet way to end the drama. The story doesn't end there. Now, of course, we have the Netflix show, which only further cemented The Witcher as a global powerhouse. Today, The Witcher continues to grow, with new games and Netflix seasons on the horizon. But the lesson for creators is this: you can be a genius writer, you can create a compelling, compulsively readable world, but you have to bet on yourself, and you have to understand that the medium is changing. Sapkowski bet against the future, he bet against the gaming industry, and he lost a fortune. CD Projekt Red bet on storytelling, and they built an empire. Here is a question though: did Sapkowski's choice to take a flat fee actually give CD Projekt Red the creative freedom needed to reshape The Witcher into what it became? And if he had chosen royalties and stayed more involved, would the series have grown even stronger? Or would that creative tug of war have held it back? I would love to hear your thoughts on this matter down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.